We are officially 1 week away from the next Grand Theft Auto Online DLC that is very likely going to be coming out on July 19th, 2022. And there's a lot of people looking around right now saying, do I have enough money for all the content that Rockstar is going to add? And that's what we're going to be discussing in this video today, how much cash you're going to need to ultimately buy everything. So let's go ahead and talk about what we know about this update so far. So according to Rockstar, this update is all about the expansion of criminal careers of executive, biker, gun runner, nightclub owner, and anything that has to do with a various business. And there's also going to be a set of contact missions that presents the opportunity to be sworn in as a special IIA field operative to investigate a budding criminal conspiracy. So that's what we know about the update so far. We also know the update is going to feature some changes and quality of life improvements, although because you don't have to pay for that, it's unlikely that that's going to have any impact on how much money you're ultimately going to need. So now that we've heard from Rockstar, we can also hear from Rockstar Games insider Tez Funds 2, who has said a couple of things about this update. He said it's very likely that we are not going to be getting a new property with this DLC. And he also said that it's going to be a small to medium-sized update. So when I think small to medium-sized update, I'm thinking something along the lines of the Los Santos Summer Special that ultimately came out back in the summer of 2020. So because of that, that's kind of what I'm going to base things off of what we know so far and what to expect and how much is ultimately going to arrive. So let's start with what is probably going to be the most expensive part of this update, and usually is the most expensive part of all updates, and that is the vehicles. Now, we only know of one vehicle so far. We know that it's going to be a supercar. We know that it is a Pegassi supercar based off of the new Lamborghini Countach, and if I was a betting man, I'm going to say that this vehicle is probably going to be anywhere between $1 and $2 million, given where the recent supercars have ultimately been priced. In fact, that's kind of where I speculate a lot of the vehicles are going to fall in between $1 and $2 million. Now, if we take a look back at the Los Santos Summer Special, the vehicles that were added in that, there were 15 of them, including 6 that could be upgraded at Benny's Original Motorworks. Now, with this update, a lot of the vehicles were just sort of new variants on existing cars, like the Impante Beater Dukes, the Bravado Gauntlet Classic Custom, the Benefactor Glendale Custom, the Dundreary Landstalker XL, the Albany Manana Custom, the Maibatsu Penumbra FF, the Vapid Peyote Custom, the Kennis Seminole Frontier, to Class A Yosemite Ranger, and then Bravado Yuga Classic 4x4. So a lot of those vehicles weren't necessarily new. They were just different variants of vehicles that we already had. So that's something that I'm going to be expecting a good bit in this update. It's also something we saw in the update for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S. Think of cars like the weaponized Pegassi Ignis, and think of the Pfister Astron Custom. We're going to probably get a lot of cars like that. But let's just assume that the update has around 15 vehicles like we saw in Los Santos Summer Special. Then that means just taking the price of all the vehicles. Let's say that all of them are $1 million. That means you're going to be at $15 million. And then let's call it $2 million on the high end. That's going to be $30 million just for the vehicles alone. And that doesn't include any of the customization. And I bet there's a good chance, especially if you're on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X or S, that a lot of these are going to be Hal's Special Works vehicles. And so because of that, I think there's a good chance that the customization could be pretty pricey too. So I would say to customize all these cars on the low end, we're probably looking at around $5 million. On the high end, we're looking at about $10 million. So far, just with vehicles alone, we're looking at the low end, if you want to buy and customize every vehicle, about $20 million. And if you want to buy and customize every vehicle on the high end, it's probably going to be about $40 million. So I know it's a small to medium-sized update. You're still going to need a lot of cash. Now, probably the next most expensive thing that Rockstar could ultimately add here is articles of clothing. Now, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but just in the Los Santos Summer Special, Rockstar added over 320 clothing items as well as 24 new masks. I guess we'll throw that in to clothing too. And if you purchase every single one, especially because some of the clothing options can be a couple $1,000s each. So if you think about that, a couple $1,000s each times 320, you're looking at a good bit of money right there. So let's just call it at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if you want to buy everything, let's just tack on $1 million for clothing, masks, accessories. We'll even throw haircuts and tattoos into that category as well. Pretty much anything that you can put on or around your character. We're just going to put it a solid $1 million. Now, from there, there's only a couple more things that Rockstar could end up adding. One of those could be guns or weapons. Now, we got a lot of weapons in the contract DLC, so maybe Rockstar will scale back on those. But if they do, and depending on how they're utilized in the stores, I'm going to say you could probably spend about $500,000 on the weapons as well. Once again, depending on their customizations and whatnot. And then there's a lot of other miscellaneous things that you just need to save, in my opinion, a couple $1,000,000 for. Like, for example, remember in that update, they added 2 new arcade cabinets that you could put in your arcade. Those are pretty pricey too. They added new sets of off-road wheels and a new class of wheels called street wheels that you could add for all your vehicles. And maybe there's even something miscellaneous. Remember, this was added way back in the day, like the ability to redesign our characters' appearances. That costs $100,000 every time you want to use it. So maybe there's going to be a feature like that that's introduced. So long story short, even though there isn't going to be a new property, and even though it doesn't look like there's going to be really anything about this update that's going to jump off the page in terms of like $5-6 million, I still think you're going to need anywhere from, let's call it $25 to $45 million if you want to buy everything. Now, the good news with this is 2 things. Number one, not all this content is going to be available on day one. As you guys know, Rockstar love to drip feed content so that it lasts for the coming weeks and months. So we're not going to get all, let's just call it 15 vehicles on day one. We're probably going to get maybe half or a little over half of those, with Rockstar saving the rest. And that might apply for a lot of the other things that they add in the game too, so you won't need to have that money on day one. Number 2, it looks like there's going to be lots of good ways to make money in this update. So we already know there's going to be an expansion on the criminal careers of executive, biker, gun runner, and nightclub owner. That to me screams that's going to be some pretty good money making. We also have the new set of contact missions. We're going to be getting a lot of money there. We also know that Rockstar are going to be adjusting the payouts of rewards that players get for the time they spend, as well as bumping up bodyguard, associate, MC member pay, things like heist finales, races, adversary modes. So money is going to be a little bit easier to come by here, which is definitely good news all the way around. Now, when we get more information on this update, which could very likely happen at any time over the next couple of days, I'll probably end up doing a follow-up post to this when we get more vehicles that are probably revealed and we get a better idea on, what the criminal career expansion part is going to be. But for now, just plan on having a good couple of $1 million, 20, 30, 40, especially if you're someone like me who likes to buy everything, customize everything. It's going to be very useful to have your money saved up. And hopefully you do, because there's been a tremendous amount of cash-making opportunities that Rockstar have had over the last couple of months and weeks. I'm sure a lot of you guys are ready, but that's the big question I'm going to leave you guys with in those comments down below. Number 1, how much money do you think we're going to need for this update? And number 2, how much money do you currently have right now? Let me know what you guys are thinking in those comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Rockstar Games videos that I'll be doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.